In this video, we'll take a look at the Ad Hoc Events function. Unlike the Find Events function, these events are not pre-configured within the Canary admin and are not stored in the events database. They are events based upon the user's input using the conditions and parameters available within the function. We first start by selecting a view from which to query data. This could be the raw historian view or a virtual view that has been created. The expression base path allows us to drill further into the selected view, narrowing the scope of data we are trying to query. Clicking the previous box will reset the branch if we want to walk back up the path, or choose a different branch altogether. If a virtual view was selected from the View dropdown, the user has the option of choosing an asset type on which to base the query. For this example, I want to look at the pump assets I have defined in my water district view. Next, set a time range over which to search. Times can have a relative format, such as the case here using the keywords month and day, or actual times using the date time picker dropdown. Using the keyword month, my search will start at the beginning of the current month. If I want my search to start at the beginning of the second week in the month, I'll add 1 week or 1W to this. For the search to parameter, let's choose an actual date. Next is the criteria the event will be based on. At a minimum, an event requires a start trigger expression. For this example, I want to know the occurrences when a pump's flow tag exceeds 15,000. This will trigger the beginning of the event. Clicking the drop-down reveals every possible tag that falls underneath the given base path. Since this example is asset-based though, I do not want to select a specific tag. Instead, I'm going to type in the flow tag using square brackets. Tags are case-sensitive. Next, we can configure an end trigger expression that will conclude the event. If no end trigger is provided, the event will conclude whenever the start trigger expression evaluates to false. So in this case, whenever the flow tag is less than or equal to 15,000. The minimum event duration can be used in addition to the start trigger to determine how long the condition must be true before it is considered an event. So if we're only concerned about pumps that have been in this state for 30 seconds or longer, I'll use the relative time 30s. If left blank, an event will be created as soon as the start trigger expression is true. Next, we can limit the max number of events to return and calculate properties tied to the event. For example, if we want to know what the max flow reading was throughout the event, we'll first give it a name, then use the maximum to aggregate and insert the flow tag. Again, tag names should be contained within square brackets. Multiple properties can be added along with multiple tags. Next, choose how the events should be returned and how they should be sorted. Then decide which display fields you want to return. The source field is only needed if the event is asset-based, which it is in this case. Finally, decide if you want to output a progress report. Then choose the output location for the events that will be returned. We'll see the completion percentage increase as events are discovered. If the query does not reach 100% before returning the results, this indicates the max number of events was reached before discovering all possible events that occurred within the time range. Date times are returned in their decimal format and will require the columns be reformatted if wanting to use a friendlier timestamp. So that's all for the Ad Hoc Events function. Thanks for watching.